Jake Paul, I mean, as long as he continues to fight MMA guys and YouTubers, he's gonna continue to look good and shine. But once he fights a real fighter that can really fight, it's not gonna be that good.
He told me before his goal is to fight Canelo, so that's where his mindset's at.
He get up by Canelo. He get demolished.
I'm a giant Gervonta fan. I think that guy is so unusual. Yeah. His style's so unusual and his patience.
I've always been a huge fan of Gervonta Davis. His style is unique, his patience inside the ring is unmatched, and he just brings something different every time he fights. Recently, Jake Paul shocked everyone by announcing a matchup against Davis, and the reaction across the fight world has been wild. Even Joe Rogan weighed in, saying he couldn't believe Jake would step in against someone as proven and dangerous as Gervonta. Sure, the size difference is there, but Rogan made it clear this is the kind of fight that's tough to take seriously.
I'm fighting Gervonta Davis on Netflix. Let's go. People think that he could actually beat me, and people think he could outbox me, and he's so powerful and this and that. That's what makes it a good fight. November 14th, Netflix.
Jake Paul made it official. Jake Paul is fighting Gervonta Tank Davis. Jake Paul, guys, I'm all for fun fights. I'm all for big events. I will talk about what the fight entails. I don't think for 1 second that Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul in a boxing match is a complete mismatch on the side of Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is that much better than Jake Paul at boxing.
I'm a giant Gervonta fan. I think that guy is so unusual. Yeah. His style's so unusual and his patience.
The Leo Santa Cruz fight was really something for me because Leo Santa Cruz is a technician, Mexican style, and the fight was very close before Tank stopped. But he has that power that can end it.
He finds these openings and he sees them, but he doesn't go after them right away. He waits for the right time. He's so patient. Like when you watch the early rounds of his fights, he probably has the lowest punch count in the early round. But he also knows he's got that nuclear option that if he can crack you, most likely he's going to take you out. He's got massive confidence in that.
100%. He should beat Jake Paul, shouldn't he?
No, he shouldn't.
But you don't think? Sorry. So I thought we were all unanimous here. You think that
shouldn't.
You think Jake Paul beats Gervonta Davis?
70 pounds is 70 pounds.
Gervonta Davis is very small. 5'5".
He's tiny, bro.
5'5".
That's what I'm saying.
Jake Paul,
he's a little man.
If Jake Paul's tucking up,
move on,
and absorbing punishment for walking forward, and look, there's a way to run.
And that's the exact debate stirring up the combat sports community right now. Jake Paul facing off with Gervonta Tank Davis, one of the most feared knockout artists of his generation, sounds almost unreal. On paper, the matchup looks lopsided. Jake walks around as a cruiserweight, while Davis has carved his legacy at lightweight, running through elite opponents with his devastating power. Jake, of course, is banking on his size advantage. Critics say it's disrespectful to the sport, accusing him of chasing attention by dragging a smaller fighter into his weight range. But on the other side, many argue this kind of matchup is actually good for boxing because it keeps the spotlight shining on the sport.
Today we're going to talk about the boxing world and another fight that Jake Paul just booked for his joke of a career against a 65-plus smaller guy than him in Gervonta Davis. Jake Paul is a circus sideshow for low IQ incels. Nobody should be falling for this carny bullshit about him being a real fighter. Gervonta is a million times better than him, so he has to handicap Gervonta's skill by being a giant lab rat with a 65-plus weight advantage over him. This is a joke. This is a mockery to the sport of fighting. You know, the best are supposed to fight the best. Why is he fighting a guy that's, in his last fight, Mike Tyson, who, he's got a 40-year age gap between them? Why are you fighting a guy that should be in line for, the early bird special, not fighting in a boxing ring and Mike Tyson? Now you're fighting a guy who is, tiny. He's a 130-pound fighter. You fight in the 210, 210, 220 weight range. So, this is another joke in Jake Paul's career. He claims to want to be a real fighter, but he's not taking the real steps to be real fighters and fighting top 10 guys and fighting the best guys in the world. He fights these circus sideshows against guys that have no business being in there against him. So I guess this is the state of boxing. It's dead. UFC took over, and this is what you get now. You get this YouTuber who it's on Lizzie McGuire, and he wants to claim to be a real fighter, but he doesn't want to fight real fighters. So I think it's ironic though. Why would he hire a lawyer to sue people that say that his fights are fixed if they weren't? Allegedly. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. You guys do the math. Let me know what you think in the comments below.
How about Jake? What do you think of Jake?
Clown. Would you look at it as a joke if someone, if your team was like, yo, we want you to fight Jake Paul? Would you be like, come on, man?
I laugh at him.
Would you ever do a fight like that?
I feel as though in my career, I can't do that right now. I'm not a Floyd Mayweather. I ain't no Manny Pacquiao or no Canelo. I think that I actually still gotta have my foot on the gas as far as boxing.
Supporters of the matchup argue that it draws massive attention to boxing. It creates rivalries, brings in huge revenue, and sets up crossover fights that fans would never see otherwise. Love him or hate him, Jake Paul has mastered the art of promotion, and this fight is yet another example of how he keeps the world buzzing. But the big question remains, how would it actually play out? Many believe that if Gervonta Davis can get inside, close the distance, and connect, Jake Paul won't be standing for long. Davis's knockout power has carried him through multiple divisions, and Jake has never been tested against that kind of raw firepower.
If you do fight, what weight would it be at?
195.
Oh, wow. So he would go all the way from 40 to 95?
Yeah, I mean, it would be an exhibition.
Okay. So what does that mean? Is that 3-minute rounds?
Yeah, 10 3-minute rounds. We had announcement videos filmed for Canelo and for Gervonta, like both filmed, fully edited. Every single person was like, Gervonta would kill Jake. He's going to die, all of this stuff. And so just proving people wrong and changing the narrative and showing people that I'm a better boxer than all of these so-called pound for pound.
Huge news, by the way.
It's massive.
Like,
yeah.
I know we're
It's
taking it very nonchalantly. This is going to be your next super fight. And this is
on Netflix. Yeah, Netflix.
Insane.
So it's another Netflix fight.
November 14th, Netflix.
Hey, it's fun.
shit.
It's funny. Like, actually, you kind of like pioneered this a little bit. The pay-per-view model for combat is dying, it seems, especially now with the Paramount's acquisition of UFC. It seems like free fights may be the way of the future.
Piracy is such a big problem. That's what it is.
And I thought you did that with one of your fights where you were going against the piracy. What fight was that? Where I don't know, maybe.
No, I mean so there's there was like the TV era of boxing, then there was the pay-per-view era of boxing, and now we're going into the streaming era of boxing. So it's just interesting. Things are gonna get weird, but I mean, shout out to the Netflix.
On the flip side, plenty of people believe the size gap will simply be too much for Davis to overcome. They argue Jake could tie him up in the clinch, lean on him with his weight, and use his reach to neutralize Davis's explosiveness. And that's exactly what makes this matchup so polarizing, because both outcomes seem entirely possible. The boxing world is already divided. Traditionalists are outraged, dismissing the fight as a sideshow. To them, it's another case of Jake Paul chasing pay-per-view money instead of proving himself against legitimate rank contenders.
Point still stands where it stands. Jake Paul wins this fight. I already bet Gervonta Davis in the DMs. We locked a bet. Guys, it's obvious Jake wins this fight. If you guys know anything about fighting, you know about weight classes. You know that Jake's been training for actual years. He's been locked in. I'm going to be real with you guys. I'm going to be very surprised if Jake's not favorited.
Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. Yes, I'm serious. Yes, it's confirmed. No, this is not an internet rumor. Now, I have to go by that because I could have reported this 3 or 4 or 5 days ago, whenever this came out. You guys kept getting a hold of me, telling me, don't fall for it. This is a rumor. This is not true. I listened to you. And I looked into it, and I got to tell you, okay, so these two are going to fight. Now, I'm taking one crack at this thing. I'm taking one crack at this. If the numbers are not there, I'm getting off this bandwagon immediately. It's not as bad of a fight as you guys think, for one. It is the exact opposite of Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul for 2. So the fight that was being dangled and rumored in front of us, the exact opposite has happened. The opposite of fighting Anthony Joshua is not fighting nobody. The opposite of fighting Anthony Joshua is fighting Tank Davis. Okay. So there's one big glaring issue for me. It's just your partner being Tank Davis. Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. It could be a title fight, a contenders fight, a main event fight. He could be the favorite. He could be the underdog. Tank doesn't know how to bring that information to you guys in a way that is compelling. And Tank is already blinking in this situation. You have one guy who is argued amongst the pound for pound current greats in boxing. You have another guy that has suggested he should not even be allowed to box, that he should have to call it something different. He should not be licensed. He should not be ranked in the top 14. He should never be selected for a world title. Okay. Now, Tank has one job to do, which is to let anybody know that's listening that it doesn't make any difference, that boxing is a real sport. My skills versus your skills, of which I am an abundance of and of which you have none of.
But on the other hand, Jake supporters argue he's already stepped in with tougher opposition than nearly any other celebrity who's dabbled in boxing. And by even agreeing to face someone like Gervonta Davis, they say he's showing a willingness to risk everything and possibly be exposed on the biggest stage imaginable.
Get the news, were you like, what? Like, can that actually be, man?
Nah, I'm not shocked. I mean, his last fight when he fought Lamont, Jake Paul was at the fight. He told y'all he was going to fight somebody like Jake Paul. So I'm not shocked. It don't surprise me. So,
you know, Shakur, Jake, when he fought Mike Tyson, he was 227 pounds. He was 199 and like 199 point something his last fight against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He hasn't been only boxing for a couple of years. He's 12-1. Tank Davis obviously been boxing his whole life. He's 30-0-1. He's knocked everybody out except for 3 opponents in his life. But at what point does size matter so much, though, where it can't be overcome, Shakur? And is it in this case here when you've got what is like a 70-pound difference between these two guys?
I mean, size will play some part of the fight, but if I'm thinking like I'm Tank, I'm probably just gonna go out there and try to outbox him and use my knowledge and IQ against him. So I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Is there any way you could, any realistic or legitimate way in your mind you could see Jake Paul winning a fight against Tank?
No.
No way.
Nope.
Not a lot of people have talked about Jake and say he's got good power. Not even, and I get anything could technically happen, but you don't even see a realistic shot where he could land one big punch and Tank being so much smaller, he just can't handle the power.
Nah, not at all. I think Tank is, he's been boxing his whole life. Been boxing since a kid, so I doubt like that's gonna be an issue or a problem. I think Jake is good for where he's at, but I think it's just levels.
Do you see a more likely chance that Tank wins by decision or by knockout?
By decision. I mean, that guy's too big. I don't think that he's just gonna knock that guy out. So I see him like outboxing him.
Maybe he'll fight Jake Paul instead. What do you think of that?
I think that's terrible.
Why?
I mean, I get it because at the end of the day, it's the money business, and you want to make the most money. But from what I'm hearing, he can make more money in a fight with me. And if that's the case, why not fight me?
Sure. Do you think he beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah. I mean,
it's a huge size advantage, though.
It is, but I think Tank got the skills to make sure he come out on top.
Do you think that Jake has gone better?
Yeah, I think actually Jake got tremendously better from the time frame that he started till now. And in the right situation, I also could see him become a world champion.
Really?
Yeah.
A nonsensical fight for Jake to do. I still think it's a nonsensical one from a boxer perspective, from his goals in boxing perspective. But again, if it makes dollars, it makes sense. And we've seen that Jake will kind of bounce in between doing these entertainment fights and then, trying to push toward his goal of ingraining himself in the sport of boxing, and kind of does both of them. So it's kind of a weird place to be because he wants the respect of the boxing fans and the boxing hierarchy and hardcore boxing people. But at the same time, he'll gain some of that and then lose some of it. It's like a seesaw of his fights. Like one fight and be like, okay, that's a real fight, or that's a real fight. And he'll go and he'll win the fight. Julio Cesar Chavez, real fighter, maybe past his prime, whatever, but Jake goes and wins that fight pretty easily and then gets a lot of respect, gets a lot of the boxing hardcore love. And you have these talks about him fighting Anthony Joshua, and that was going to get even more respect. More people were like, that's fucking crazy. What are you doing? Myself included. That seemed like a massive risk, but a lot of people were like, okay, fair play. Anthony Joshua, that's a real heavyweight. Jake wants to fight him. He's a psycho, but fair play. And then you announce this one, and it's like, well, that's the same thing people have been saying about Jake for years. So it's a weird spot to be in for him for sure. But I talked about this not being the first choice, and I don't think it was, because Coppinger reports next that talks for Jake Paul to face Anthony Joshua collapsed over network issues. Now, we had all heard the talks, and they were pretty public, from Eddie Hearn, from Jake. Nikisa Badarian, Jake's manager, was over in the UK on, I think, Sky Sports, talking about the fight and saying how it was a real possibility and they were really starting to work on it. And now Mike Coppinger says that the talks for Jake and Joshua fell apart over broadcasting issues or network issues. And that leads me to believe that Jake's team and Anthony Joshua's team, Nikisa and Eddie, couldn't agree on what platform the fight would be on. I assume that Nikisa and Jake wanted Anthony Joshua to fight on Netflix, probably here in the United States, which would have been massive, no doubt about it. But correct me if I'm wrong, comment section, I'm pretty sure Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn are not only both signed to DAZN, but also own a part of DAZN or have some sort of ownership piece in DAZN, and would make more sense for them to fight on DAZN. So that was probably the big hang up, which is crazy, by the way, that they were only a network broadcast away from actually making that fight. And honestly, out of the two of these, I'm going to be dead honest, I would have loved to see Jake, as risky, as insane as it was. I don't think I would have ever advised Jake to fight Anthony Joshua, but I definitely, as a viewer, would have been like, okay, I'm watching that. I mean, I'm watching this too.
And of course, there's the financial side of it. If this matchup actually takes place, it has the potential to be one of the biggest pay-per-view events of the year. Millions of fans would tune in, some hoping to watch Jake finally get humbled by a smaller but far more skilled opponent, and others curious to see if he can pull off what would easily rank as one of the most stunning upsets in modern boxing.
Life's commitment and dedication versus a second or third or fourth thought in the world of priority on your list. And I used to believe those things. Now, I go back far enough in MMA that I've had my eyes open a number of times. The fact that karate was so incredibly useless, or the fact that Jeet Kune Do was so incredibly useless, like, these were not things that I would have bet on when I was in high school. As a wrestler at that time, I would not have assumed that I would fare well in a fight against somebody that knew Kung Fu. We had all been falsely led through Hollywood. Not through competition, not through sport, not through understanding of the game, but just through Hollywood. We were told that those guys were the most dangerous guys. So, we then eventually get up to Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather, which had a weight discrepancy, but it was very small. I mean, I watched him weigh in. I want to say it was like 8 pounds. It was something very small, but you understood that Conor was pulling to those 8 pounds, and he might put on another 10 overnight, and it could be an 18-pound difference. Like, never has that ever come up in fighting.
Jake Paul, I mean, as long as he continues to fight MMA guys and YouTubers, he's gonna continue to look good and shine. But once he fights a real fighter, a real fighter that can really fight, it's not gonna be that good.
He told me before his goal is to fight Canelo, so that's, you know, where his mindset's at.
He get fucked up by Canelo. He get demolished. Me and Logan, we done an exhibition, and that's why he moved to WWE, because he wanted to hold me the whole night.
He wanted to hold on to you.
He wanted to hold on.
He wanted to hold on. Yeah.
I think WWE is good for Logan and
Jake Paul, maybe?
Easy. Too easy.
It's too easy.
Too easy. At 48, too easy. I mean, when I'm betting on real fights.
Real fights, yeah.
Not saying that they're not real fighters. They're novice. They're novice professional fighters. But when I'm betting on fights, I'm betting on them. I'm betting on fights that's top flight. But that is a top flight novice. That's the best novice fight professional novice fight that's going on right now. So may the best man win.
The fighters will walk away with big paydays, the broadcasters will cash in, and, whether fans want to admit it or not, the world will be watching. What makes this matchup even more intriguing is what it could mean for the future of boxing. Are we stepping into a new era where influencers collide with world-class champions, creating spectacles that irritate purists but capture massive mainstream attention? Or will Gervonta Davis use this opportunity to shut down the Jake Paul experiment once and for all?